Hey, this is Mike, Seder 42 Vinyl. I'm actually going to do a video for my channel with a friend of mine, Rockley Records. We've kind of been friends for a little bit now, over Instagram and over on his YouTube page. And we've been giving each other advice on music. And he's also been getting into metal, a lot more metal in the past, like maybe 2 years now, at least.
Yeah, yeah.
So
At
yeah.
least, yeah.
Yeah, at least the past 2 years, and I've been giving him a lot of advice and hopefully good advice. And one of the bands that we discussed, or that's been one of my favorite artists for quite a long time, is King Diamond. And King Diamond is an interesting artist. He's been around for a while, Merciful Fate, since like the early 80s. And then he kind of broke up with Merciful Fate and went on his own, did his own solo projects. And in his solo career, he's pretty much always done concept records where every album that he does is a concept or a story that has, a beginning, middle, and end, and all the songs revolve around whatever story he comes up with. And King Diamond, with his vocal range and how he sings, he's definitely an acquired taste. He's not somebody that I think people can get into right away usually. Rockley was like getting into like thrash metal at first, I think. Well, at first you were into like Candlemass and like Nevermore. You were kind of touching your toe on some Doom stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, you want to take a next step into some more heavier stuff and then even more heavier stuff. And then King Diamond came up and I'm like, dude, King Diamond is one of my favorite artists. I love him. But I don't, it's like when you have an artist that you really like, you want people to like it as well. So it's
Yeah.
really hard to like, you don't want to say, oh, buy King Diamond right away. And then they're like, this is garbage. So uh, I don't know if you felt that way in the beginning, because I know you said you did mention that it wasn't an easy listen the first few times, right?
Yeah, I think it was earlier on when you had suggested, and yeah, I think you prefaced it with like, this is a little different, give it some time kind of thing. And for me, like a new artist, I generally I don't do any sort of research or anything like when you recommend me something, I'll stream it, just a few things here and there, and see how it clicks with me or not. And he was one, yeah, I put it on and it was like I didn't get it. So it was probably on the third time I went back to give it of my full attention. So yeah, it was probably more like 3 years ago when you first mentioned him.
Wow. Yeah. Time
And
flies.
then over the course of 3 years, I've become a fan. So for me, it was doing the research and understanding I view it as like a horror opera kind of concept, or like a show choir kind of thing. Like it's a production, almost like a one man show. And then you kind of, at least for me, I really started to appreciate his vocal talent and the ability to switch, and then making those characters with the different styles of singing that he does, whether it's his falsetto or his chest voice, kind of thing. And it really like tells these stories really well. And then when you like read the lyrics and the stories, I mean, that's when it really gets pretty interesting. It's another dimension to his music for sure.
Yeah, when I first started listening to King Diamond, I first heard him on Headbangers Ball. I saw the video for Welcome Home for the Them album. I was probably, it was 1988, so I was probably like 15 or so. And I was just starting to touch my toes into getting into heavy metal. So I was kind of moving into the heavier stuff. And when I saw the Welcome Home video, I had never seen or heard anything like that before. I mean, it shocked me, but it was super intriguing too. I was like, I don't know if I like this. It was the same time I felt like when I heard Creator and I heard Milla's voice and thrash
Hmm.
metal like that. I was like, can I even listen to music with this kind of vocals? Does this even make sense? But
Right.
I loved the riffing and the music. But yeah, vocals are something that I think in the very beginning of getting into harsher metal is one of the barriers for a lot of people, like death metal as well.
Oh, sure, sure.
But yeah, King Diamond is, compared to Milla and death metal, he's just something else as well. Just another layer in what metal can be, and what can be accepted and, done well or different or unique in metal. But all right, so the idea of this video is we're both going to show our top five favorite King Diamond records. Now, favorite could just be favorite today, maybe favorite of all time. I've been listening to King Diamond since 1988, since them. So I've bought pretty much every record as they had come out, back in, whenever they came out, whatever years.
Okay.
And of course, when I started collecting vinyl, I had a goal of collecting the whole discography. And I did that. So I think both of us have everything, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. We both have all the studio discography. So the idea of this video is that we're going to do our top five, but it's kind of from unique perspectives because Rockley is a newer fan of only a few years and probably hasn't listened to these albums nearly as much as I have. Uh,
Definitely not.
yeah, I've been listening to these albums for a long time. The ones that are on my list, I've listened to a lot. And that means like from when they came out till even recently for picking for this list. All right. So, Rockley, I'm going to have you start out. We're going to show your
Yeah.
number
Yeah.
five and just kind of discuss, me being a veteran listener and you being kind of a newer listener, your impressions of your top five albums and kind of maybe why you like them.
Okay. So, I guess number 5 on my list is going to be Them. Really, I think the album art, like I really am drawn to that as a nice touch. Feel like it goes well with the story and the music and the guitar on here. So I think you'll notice like it's mainly like the guitar and those melodies and riffs mixed with his vocal styling. And then the top 5, I think I told you right before the video, is like I changed it again.
Yeah.
Because I had this one higher up and then I changed my mind. But I don't know. Production. So I feel like this is one of the better sounding records he's done too. But and we've talked about before, he's just so consistent with the quality overall, like from start to finish. There's pretty minor degrade even in like the more recent stuff. I feel like they all uphold a certain standard that, well, unique to King Diamond, but that sound, that is his sound is like present in all of them. So anyway, this will be my number 5. And usually I think it's Welcome Home's probably the one that I'm drawn to the most on here. My favorite track off here.
Yeah, that was the single that he did the video for, and that's the first song I had ever heard from King Diamond as well. There's a solo in there where there's a whammy bar thing they do, and in the video,
Yeah.
holds his guitar on its side and he goes. Rah, rah, rah. I was like, that was cool. Like Andy Rock is one of the best guitar players in metal. Period. Honestly.
Let me help you out of the chair. Get the drama. Let me touch you. Let me feel. We're going to repaint the front door soon. Let me help you out of the chair. Get the drama. Let me touch you. Let me feel.
All right, so my number 5 is, now I'm going with a little bit later in the discography. This album is from 98, and this is Voodoo. This album is actually kind of unique for King Diamond because this is probably his heaviest album as far as guitar tone wise and songwriting wise. I think Andy really must have been listening to a lot of thrash metal because this album is very, very thrashy and very heavy, especially the first song, House of Loa. Or Loa House. That song just rips. Like that riff is just insane. And King's vocals on here, of course, I think we're just going to just say right off the top, they're always great on the album. There's
Yeah.
he never misses in the studio. And the story on this is really good too. It's kind of similar to Abigail in a way where, these people buy this house in voodoo country and they get all wrapped up in what's going on there. So it's pretty crazy stuff. And yeah, I think it's one of his more unique albums just because of how heavy and thrashy it is as far as music.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like this record. Really good songs on here. House of Loa is great. Voodoo is fun. There's a line in there where he sings "Feed the dogs." I just think that's funny. I always laugh when he sings that line. So I think that's great. Voodoo is my number 5, mostly because it's great music, but it's definitely unique in his catalog where it's much heavier or thrashy of an album than his previous stuff to that point.
Very nice. Yeah, that as far as his later discography, that's definitely one of my favorites.
He's not the one. He's not the one. Drink, girl. Drink and feed the gods. This is all you think they do. Ah, you better think again. 'Cause there is so much more to voodoo. Ooh, the deeds behind. Voodoo, voodoo, voodoo. Voodoo, voodoo, voodoo.
Okay, number 4, I've got Abigail. And as far as album artwork, I think this is probably hands down the best. That it's just iconic. It's probably the imagery that I associate with him the most is this right here. And the story, it might be the best concept, probably the pinnacle of his story writing that he tries to recreate. I'm guessing. I don't know. But to me, I just feel like this was a really, really incredible story. And not to beat a dead horse, but in this ranking, it's like these are all razor thin. I could change my like
100%.
I'm choosing I'm knocking this one because I feel like the production isn't as great, but the story is so strong, the artwork's so strong, pushed it up for me. So over them, because them is also a really good story. It's a really good artwork. Yeah. Anyway, that's number 4 for me.
My next one, my number 4, King Diamond can say that he's a Grammy nominated artist, and artwork wise, this is the absolute worst artwork from all of his albums. And a lot of people say that it's like computer generated. It's absolutely terrible. But the song on this album, Never Ending Hill, was nominated for a Grammy. And my 4th favorite is Give Me Your Soul, Please. I love this album. This is one of his most, I think, melodic records. Like the songs on here are just really, really, really good. Like every song has a hook, and very sing-alongable. I like using that term. You could catch yourself singing to these songs really easily. And this story is really good too. Just a guy who moves into a haunted house with a kid who was murdered when she was, I think, by her brother or something. And she wants to possess King in his home. And he's like, no, don't possess me. And there's a lot of songs on here about, him going through the house, creeping around, getting scared and stuff like that. And then at the end, which is kind of cool, the very end lyric, he kind of convinces the girl to go to somebody else's house, and like one of the last lines is like, it's your house, bro, you're done. So it's kind of fun, when you listen to the record, you're like, no, I just haunted myself. But as far as goes, this is utterly terrible, but the album and the songs are really good. I like it's drastically different music wise from Voodoo, much more melodic on this one. I think the songs are just written really well and Grammy nominated, even though that doesn't really mean anything because the Grammys get metal wrong all the time. And King did not win. I was upset by that because I think he should have, but he was definitely nominated. So I think Slayer won that year. This is my 4th favorite King Diamond album right now.
Never ending hill is where I live. The old oak tree is standing still. Can you hear the birds singing in the trees? Can you hear the wind shaking all the leaves? Whoa, take a look at the sky. Golden clouds are moving right by my eyes. Black cat magic is down
number 3 is Fatal Portrait.
first.
The first one, which I listened to King Diamond first, and then I went and listened to Merciful Fate. I feel like this one's very like, well, it's mostly the same. It's a lot of the same members, right, from that.
Yeah, he definitely took some members from Fate and brought them into King.
But I probably listened to this one the most, and is it The Candle? That track, I just love that. And there's is it Halloween, and is it Sharon or Sharon?
Aaron, or yeah, I'm not sure, 100%.
You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, Dressed in White, it's also really good. Yeah, there's just several tracks on here that I really love, and honestly, I would probably easily put it first, but I feel like because it's not a full concept, that it's lacking that like story that the others have.
Yeah.
The artwork's okay. I don't like, it's not my favorite. I don't know. But yeah, the amazing guitar, like,
Yeah, it is Andy.
yeah, it's just incredible. So anyway, that's my number 3.
Fatal Portrait is excellent. It wasn't the first album that I told you them already was, but we did go, me and my friends, we went back, we ended up getting that album. But you're right, it does have a more of a Merciful Fate feel to it, a little bit, as far as guitar, how the songs are even written. I think King was figuring out how he wanted to write songs in his own style, not in a Merciful Fate way. And yeah, it's kind of a discovery, and doing the concept as well. Like you said, it's just like half the album is like 3 or 4 songs that are part of the story, but the rest is all just single songs. But yeah, some really classic songs on there. That's a good pick. All right, so my number 3 is, you already showed it. It is King Diamond Them. My first experience with King, the guitar solo, or he does the whammy bar. I was hooked. Welcome Home is great. The story is good. This is probably the King Diamond album I've listened to the most in my lifetime. Like, as far as like, I know these songs inside and out. Them is always going to have a place, in the top. It's just always going to have to be there. I don't think it'll never, be out of the top 5. And like you said, the production is better. The guitar tone is really unique on this. So it's just a unique sounding record across the board, with the vocals, the guitar tone, and the drums sound really weird. Production on this is interesting. It's different. Great concept too. The story does suck you in, with grandma and her tea and her invisible
Grandma.
That's right. And poor mommy, poor Missy. Missy in the fireplace. Spoiler.
Missy was screaming. What have you done? What have you done to my mom? Crying loud and loud. We better get rid of her. She's too young anyway. It was grandma who spoke. Bye bye, Missy. Be gone forever. The duty will follow your place. And the kitchen will do.
All right, now you're number 2.
Yeah. So the I, number 2, and I was telling you that I just switched this. I had Fatal Portrait as my number 2, but I listened to these again this morning, and I I think maybe it's like I'm finding this story like more realistic just because of the connection with historical figures and corrupt clergy, religious figures, like just seems realistic. I don't know. But
It
anyway,
does.
and The Eye of the Witch. I mean, I love that track. So anyway, story, historical connection, just put it over the edge for me. I think it's also a really great sounding record.
Yeah, production
And
on that's really good.
although in reading about it, it sounds like they're claiming the drums were digitally recorded.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I can't tell. I mean, I think the drums sound great on it, but apparently, some people are upset about that. But I think it sounds great. I like the album artwork. We had discussed. I was like, I wonder why they don't like King Diamond doesn't sell the eye in his like merch store.
Yeah.
Might be like a cool artifact. But anyway, that's my number 2.
All right. Spoilers ahead.
Thunder bring the rain, penetrate my brain. I am no more the same. That vision that has come again. Losing territory. It's the eye
My number 2 is a controversial pick, probably in the King Diamond community. For me, when I first listened to this album, when I bought it on CD, when it came out, like probably the day, sometime in 1996, I listened to it and I was like, whoa, I don't know if I like this new King Diamond album. And like I was saying, you only have one album to listen to now for like maybe a few weeks to at least a few weeks before I can get up enough money to get another one. I just kept listening to it and I kept listening to it and I kept listening to it. And when it clicked, I was like, I love this record. And that's The Graveyard. The Graveyard gets a lot of crap online. It is never this high on any list that I've ever watched. But it is my second favorite King Diamond album. I love this record. Heads on the Wall. I love it's corny. The story and the vocals, how he sings it. The production is weird on this record, just kind of like them. It's the production is weird. This album is, I guess, could be bad in a lot of ways, but to me, it's unique in a lot of ways.
Okay.
I take it as, oh, this is different. This sounds cool because it's not like the rest. And King outdoes himself with the story here too. The story is really corny. A guy is a corrupt politician who has a daughter who, he's not doing very good things with her. This crazy guy who digs graves at the graveyard gets involved. He ends up going to an insane asylum and escaping. He kidnaps the kid. They kind of become friends. I don't know. It's weird. He buries her in a graveyard, makes the dad find her, dig her up, and then he ends up killing the dad. He ends up getting killed, and the girl ends up carrying his head around in a bag at the end of the story. It's wild. It's crazy. It's fun. And I like every song on here. I like every song. I don't know why this album clicked with me so much as it did, but it really, really did. And I come back to this album a lot when I looking through my King stuff. I'm like, man, I'm gonna listen to Graveyard again today because it's just really cool. I don't know if I'm gonna sell this to anybody. I don't think anybody's buying what I'm saying, but this album for me, it works. It just works. I think it's fantastic.
Okay.
That's
All right. I definitely need to spend more time with it.
Probably a lot.
Yeah, that's a shocker. All right.
Did you know if you die in a graveyard, the soul can escape
I climbed the cemetery gate, I saw a man digging in the ground, working the late shift. It was the grave digger.
My number one,
Okay, here it is. Wow,
Conspiracy.
conspiracy.
The exception to the sequel rule.
Definitely.
So the follow up to them, story wise, right? But I think this was probably the best production on any King Diamond record. The guitars, the tone is just amazing, and the guitar work just in general just grabs me. The story's excellent, and Sleepless Nights. Sorry, I was like, why can't I remember my all-time favorite tracks? But yeah, Sleepless Night, Victimize, The Wedding Dream. Yeah, I mean, all the tracks on here. But Sleepless Nights, that to me is the pinnacle of King Diamond. The way that song is constructed and his vocal ability on that track. I mean, obviously he's just phenomenal on all his tracks, but that one just to me, I don't know why, but I love the way he's able to slide in between those voices, and yeah, it just does it for me. I'll won't have listened to King Diamond for I don't know, months, and that song will just creep into my mind. It's really odd to me. Like very few songs do that for me. And so anyway, so this album and that song in particular is when I was like, okay, I want to listen to everything he's got and really focus on it. So in this top 5, the other 4 I could switch around easily. I could put Abigail at number 2 or whatever, but this one I'm pretty firm on. This is my number 1.
Yeah, that is a great album. I remember when it came out. I remember the video. I loved that album as well. I played that album a lot. That's probably my second most, well, maybe my third most played King Diamond record, because it's been out for so long. And you're right about the production on that. I think that's like late 80s, maybe 90, and that
89.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Production for metal was getting a lot better, like right in that time, because like if you listen to the early Testament records, the sound quality is just not there. But then right when they hit, Practice What You Preach and forward, I think metal production they figured it out,
Yeah.
It started sounding really good. Conspiracy is a good example of that, where, when you go from them to Conspiracy production wise, it's a whole different ballgame.
Oh yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, it's great. And that's a great pick for number 1. It was in the running for me, but
I cannot sleep at night. That's what the day is and as the clock strikes midnight, I hear them dancing at the graves, singing to my mind, killing the pain. Sleepless nights.
in the end, my number 1, The Eye.
Nice.
My all-time favorite King Diamond album. This has been my favorite King Diamond album for a long time, actually. So it's not like, I just started rediscovering this album or something like that.
Yeah.
It took even more than one listen for me to love it, because I bought this album. I remember when I bought it. I bought it like it had to have been like the week it came out. I bought it was one of my first CDs that I ever bought. My first CD that I ever bought was a gift from a friend of mine who bought it for my birthday, because he knew that my mom was buying me a CD player, and he's like, "I'm gonna buy you a CD." I'm like, "Why are you buying me a CD? I don't have a CD." He's like, "You'll get one. I'm like, "Okay, whatever." He bought me Entombed, Left Hand Path as my first CD ever.
Wow.
That was great. I was like, "This is awesome." And then my mom gave me a CD player. I played it, and I never heard music that clear before. It was really amazing. And then I started buying CDs and I bought the Eye. So the Eye came in a long box, which is a cardboard
Yeah,
box.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and you had to open up the box, and the CD was only half of the box. The rest of it was garbage. It was just a waste. It was just packaging for, so you could flip through them, like, because I guess they wanted it to have more of a vinyl, flip through feel.
Oh, interesting.
So that's the only thing I can think of, because
I
they
take
were
it you
about the
didn't keep
size.
the
Yeah, they were about
box.
the size. I think they were 12 inches, maybe, so they were about the size of
Yeah.
vinyl, but they were only half the
Right,
width.
right. Did you keep the? Do you still have it?
I wish, back then I probably threw it away immediately.
Right, right, right.
Pipe sticker and all. They didn't care about none of that stuff. Uh, Now, no way, all that stuff
Well,
goes.
yeah.
But yeah, this album, I love it. Like you said, the story, even how tragic and based on real life it is, it's still fascinating and interesting. The witch trials in general, that part of history is, a lot of metal bands deal with that, in lyrics, and King does a great job. I think a respectful job, especially this story, because it's a disturbing story, about, rape and all that stuff. It's
Right,
really
right.
dark. But I think he's really respectful with it, and he kind of incorporates that little mystical element, where, the necklace, the Eye, gives you the power to see the future, but at a cost. You have to relive the witch trials, and you have to feel it, and you have to relive, this torture, that happened with these nuns and these priests. You have to relive all that in all in one night. You have to feel all this misery, and for the power of the Eye to work. Really fantastic story. Kind of gives me chills thinking about it. It's a great
Yeah,
concept.
yeah.
Like you said, the production on this is excellent. I might have read something about the drums a long time ago, but I agree with you. I don't notice it. I would, I'm not a musician or anything like that, so I don't always approach music that,
Yeah, same.
so
Yeah.
it sounds good. I just assume whatever, whether it's real or not, that's great, and I think the drums sound great.
Yeah.
Guitar tone is great. The songs are great. There's even a good single on here. Like Father Picard could have been like a hit single. It has just like a great chorus, really melodic. But yeah, Eye of the Witch is great. The Trial is great. Burn, he still plays live sometimes. Two Little Girls has a great, sweet melody in it. Into the Convent is when that's the second story start. Father Picard, the evil Father Picard, Behind These Walls, the meetings, all that stuff, and then Imprisonment finally, and then back to the Curse. This is a perfect album, 100%, 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10. I say that a lot, but it's true for this. It's 100% true.
I would agree. It's excellent. So
I'm gonna be gone, taking over. Things will be different. You wanna fall, gonna your turn to be the same as it was. Drink my sweet holy wine. Oh yeah, come on, it's not a crime. From now on, every Sunday this time, you will attend this communion of mine. Father Picard is hiding something, a white powder for the wine.
All right, that's our top 5
yeah.
Diamond Records. I'm glad we only had one crossover. Them, right?
And the Eye, I guess.
Oh yeah, Them and the Eye, right? 2 crossover, which is cool. That means that, even though, you're a newer listener, you from a veteran listener, we kind of had a couple crossovers there that we,
Yeah.
we both like 2 of the albums, as our favorites.
Yeah.
So
It's
that's
interesting.
cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
All right, so we're gonna do just real quick, do a quick pick 3. If you want to go and just go through all 3 and just tell me a little bit about your pick.
Yeah, sure. So just one been listening to here recently is Sloan
Are you
Navy Blues.
Power Pop?
Yes, it's
Dude,
really good.
That's
Excellent.
a rabbit hole. That's a journey.
Man, I got his Frank over at Channel
Oh.
33. He's the one that sent me this.
Really?
I've learned. I guess they're really popular in Canada.
Yeah, they're a Canadian band.
I would say relatively unknown here because I had never heard of them. It is fantastic. It reminds me of a band called Rooney that was really popular when I was in high school. That kind of did that throwback pop sound, but these guys do it on on a superior level. Let's just put it that way. So, but anyway, been
If you're,
listening to that one a lot lately. And
if you're going on a power pop journey, we need to talk because I am so into power pop now, at least for actually pre-pandemic, I started buying a ton of power pop, and I created a section of my collection that's power pop.
yeah. Excellent.
I'm excited.
You're excited
I'm
now.
excited to share. So I love sharing music, so this is going to be fun.
Brittany Fox.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah,
I know exactly how you got that.
yeah. So I think, did you find this at Lunchbox? Was that
No, I found it at Recyclable Record.
recyclable? But anyway, you had recommended it to me, and then you came across it. Were able to let me buy it off of you, and excellent. It's that really similar to Cinderella.
Yeah.
Like to me, for me, and I love that Night Songs record, and yeah, these guys do the vocalist has that raspy AC/DC almost like rasp, but yeah, anyway, excellent. And I've been playing that one a lot. And then this one has been on my list from Killswitch Engage probably I would say 4 or 5 years, but it's always been uber expensive. They reissued it in 15 or 16, I think, and even then it got really expensive because I missed out on it, and then somebody sold it at a price I was willing to pay here, and I've been listening to it quite a bit because it's one of their best in my opinion.
What I love about your pick 3 is they're all different genre.
Yeah,
None of them are the same. If you were to play a song from each of those albums in a row on a radio station, they'd be like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah,
it's like, what?
No one is ready for.
You can't be the DJ here anymore.
Read the room.
This makes no sense what you just did. I'm very excited about power pop because Sloan is like power pop is the genre that won't die, and it's also the genre that won't ever be popular. It's a doomed genre. And
exactly. Yeah.
There's heights and it drops immediately. There's power pop, like it peaked and it died, and all those bands influence so many other bands, and there are bands that will just reach the heights, like Weezer will go up, and then like bands like that will just become super popular, and then people don't know it's power pop. That's the funny thing. Like when a band hits like that, they're like, "Oh, this is just alternative." They're like, "No, you don't get it. Power pop in there. They're influenced by a very specific sub-genre of music."
Yeah. Well, we'll have to do a power pop video.
Yeah, Sloan is a great example of 90s power pop and into the 2000s. I mean, they continue to make albums, but like you said, they're completely underground now.
Yeah.
All right. So for my pick 3, I have 2 metal and 1. I'll show my non-metal record first. This is the Donnas reissues. The Donnas reissues are just coming out on Real Gone Music. They released 4 of their records, and this is probably my favorite out of the 4 that they just reissued. American Teenage Rock and Roll Machine. This is 24 minutes of just pure heaven. Really, really cool. Really, really cool record. All the songs are great. You don't want to skip any of them, and it just has a great sound. This is probably my favorite album from them, and my second favorite from them is probably Spend the Night, but this is a really, really good album. This one I know that you got as well. This is the new Vile Burner.
Mm-hmm.
This album is really good. It's dissonant death metal. It does have a unique sound to it. Really good stuff. Really dark. This label, Transcending Obscurity, they really put out quality product. All of their album covers are like kind of foil, but they also have some parts of it have glossy.
Yeah, I think they call it like spot printing. Yeah, so
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's that like a metallic foil printing, and then they've like spot gloss print on top of it. And then is the title of the band, is it like raised? I don't have my copy.
It's embossed as well.
Yeah, embossed. Yeah. I mean, it's wild. It's beautiful, really. Yeah,
they do a good job. And I must have forgot this, but these albums shipped from India, so these guys must be pressing and getting albums from India. I guess that's where the label is located. Now, this album I bought. This is one of the good things about year-end list. I can say for sure that I discovered this album based on some 2023 top 10 and top 20 lists, and this was the very tippy top of several people's lists, like one or two. And I was like, well, that's probably got to be good. And they were compared to Ghost and kind of that type of metal, you know, a little bit gothic, a little bit pop, you know, but still heavy, a little bit doomy, not incredibly doomy, but a little bit. And that's the Green Lung album, This Heathen Land. I highly recommend this. I've listened to this about 5 times now, and it is really good. I can say pretty confidently that this would have bumped something off my list for sure. Probably Night Demon. It probably would have bumped I would have probably put Night Demon. I'd put this in its place. This album is fantastic. It's really, really good. It's really cool. And it's a concept record, like we were just talking about King. So it, you know, works pretty good. Their insert is a brochure. You could fold it, but I'm not going to fold it, obviously. But it's a brochure for a place called This Heathen Land. And it has a little map of all the locations you can visit. And
cool.
some of the locations are the abandoned ruins. Some of the locations have diabolical demons. There's the Enchanted Woods, the Forgotten Tombs, just in case you want to go visit some, you know, locations on this little island. And then their booklet is, you know, part of the concept as well. It's kind of like a notebook.
Okay.
It has all the lyrics written out, you know, in different ways with pictures, kind of like a scrapbook. Really, really cool production value on the artwork and stuff, and what you get on the album. Sounds pretty cheap right now. I got it on Amazon, I think for like $20. Totally worth it. Highly recommended. It was on a lot of top 10 lists this year, and deservedly, I think. Green Lung.
Awesome. Yeah, you've piqued my interest.
Definitely.
I'll
I
definitely
recommend
check it out.
yeah, stream a couple songs. I think you'll dig it. The intro is really cool, and then it goes into this song with a great chorus, and it's really cool.
Well, thank you for having me, and I appreciate. It's cool. It's just cool to see others' perspective and on a certain artist, and I don't know. This was fun.
Yeah, I'm glad we got to do it. That's our top 5 King Diamond and our pick 3 of the week. I know we we said before that we were going to try to do this frequently, but it's much harder than when you just say it than to actually do it. But
Yeah,
maybe we can
for
do it
sure.
again in the near future.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, cool. Thanks, Broccoli.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye.